So I am back, and we have a lot to cover today. So, Aroldis Chapman has found a new home in Kansas City as he inked a one-year deal worth $3.75 million. Now, when I heard of this deal, I was shocked to say the least. Now, despite Chapman having an awful season last year, he had a career low in Ks per 9. His ERA was, over 4. His innings pitched was down significantly. His whip was bad. It just was not a good season for Aroldis Chapman based off of the numbers. Not to mention, Yankee tenure ended in turmoil as he refused to attend a mandatory workout prior to the ALCS against the Astros. But despite, his bad numbers and just the way it ended in New York, I still figured he would end up with a team who's projected to at least make a postseason run here in 2023. I was thinking a team like the Dodgers, the Twins, maybe even back to the Cubs, considering they're trying to win again. But Kansas City? To me, that just didn't make sense. I didn't get it. Kansas City, they have a nice core. I don't think they're going to be that competitive in the AL Central. They might make some noise early on. I don't see them competing with the Guardians or Twins. But despite the deal being a head-scratcher, I see him doing really, really well in Kansas City because there's no pressure. Kansas City's not New York. Not to mention, the expectation of winning isn't even there. So he's going to be really, really good out of that Kansas City pen in whatever role they put him in. And with that, I think he will be a really, really attractive trade piece come the deadline. I think even if they're in a wild card hunt, they're going to flip him. And when it comes to a team that I believe will want to go after Chapman come deadline time, I think it's the Dodgers. Next, the Marlins and Twins have made a trade as Minnesota sent the AL batting champion Luis Arraez to South Beach in exchange for starting pitcher Pablo Lopez and a few other prospects that went from Miami to Minnesota. Now, Lopez did really good last season. He reached career highs in innings pitched and strikeouts. Not to mention, he had a nice whip of 1.17 and a nice FIP of 3.79. Now, when it comes to Arraez, he also had a career year, obviously winning the batting title and eclipsed a career high in hits with 173. Now, when it comes to who I think won this trade, right now, I think it's the Twins because they acquired starting pitching, not to mention they got a couple prospects back. Who they are, I'm not quite sure, but just from the fact that it's a starting pitcher and they got a little extra, I think it's a Twins win for now. Now, if this was a straight-up just one-for-one trade being Arraez for Lopez, I'd have to say it's a draw when it comes to who won the trade in that scenario, but it's not. Twins got a couple extra prospects. I was a little surprised, but I think they're figuring out, look, Arraez's value is at all-time high. We need starting pitching. Pitching win ball games. Doesn't matter. They had Arraez last season, and Correa, and Buxton. I know he was hurt, but they still had him. They didn't make the postseason. So that's not good. So they couldn't win with him. What makes you think anything's going to change if he's gone? So I like the move by the Twins. I think the Twins got a major dub in this deal. The Hall of Fame just gained a new member as former Philly, Red, Blue Jay, and Cardinal Scott Rolen, the third baseman, was selected by the MLB writers with a 76.3% of the vote. In other words, Scott Rolen has made the Hall of Fame with the lowest amount of votes ever by a elected major league player. Now, here are some career stats for Rolen. He had 2,077 hits, 316 home runs, 1,287 RBIs, a 281 batting average, a 490 slugging percentage, an 855 OPS, and a 122 OPS plus. So with that being said, Rolen will be joining Fred McGriff, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame a few months ago via the 16 members of the Contemporary Baseball Era Committee. In short, there will be 2 members who will make up the class of 2023 for the National Baseball Hall of Fame. But I do want to make a quick point in comparison to Rolen, another guy, being Jeff Kent. If Rolen is now a Hall of Famer, then why the hell didn't Jeff Kent in the Hall of Fame. I don't get it. I think Kent needs to get his fair share of consideration and votes from the writers. All you gotta do is look at Jeff Kent's numbers and compare it to Rolen. And Jeff Kent, far and away better, career-wise. I mean, if you look at every major statistic, Kent eclipses Rolen. Kent has more hits than Rolen, 2,461. More home runs, 377. More RBIs, 1,518. A better batting average, 290. A better slugging percentage, 500. Now their OPS both lie at 855, and Kent beats out Rolen when it comes to OPS plus by just 1 percentage point. So across the entire board, aside from OPS, Kent is better. It's just a fact. This is East Coast biased at its finest right here, folks. Next, Angels owner Artie Moreno has announced he will not be selling the team despite having 5 potential bidders. Now, the team was expected to sell for more than $2.5 billion and possibly over $3 billion. But on a whim, Artie Moreno decided not to sell, according to Sam Blum. Now, to me, this really doesn't come as a surprise. I know there was reports on that, but I never really thought he'd actually sell the team. Now, I know a lot of Angels fans probably are mad about this, but again, just because you have another owner doesn't mean he's going to be better than the previous. It doesn't mean he's going to be as invested, as committed. You never know. No one can really say that, Artie Moreno has been a distant or cheap owner. He hasn't. I mean, he spent nearly $500 million on Mike Trout. They got Shohei Ohtani. They had Albert Pujols. They had Josh Hamilton. They won a championship in 2002. I think he owned the team then. They've been spending money. I mean, they've been trying. They really have. It's not his fault that the front office has been dispersing his money in the wrong areas. They've been trying to win with just offense. That's not his problem. That's front office problem, the baseball ops, the president, the GM. That's their fault, not his. So if I'm an Angels fan, he's spending money, he loves to spend money, I would take Artie Moreno in a heartbeat. Now next, the Mets have agreed to a 4-year, $50 million extension with their MVP, Jeff McNeil. Now, I think this is a really good move for the Mets. He's a fan favorite, number 1. He's reliable. He's a consistent bat, number 2. And number 3, he's a defensive metrics darling. Not to mention, he's just a great old school ball player. A nose to grindstone type of guy. Now, the years are really good. The $50 million, I'm okay with. I mean, it's not my money, it's Steve Cohen's money, so $50 million is like $5 to this guy. So the shift will be banned, so that might actually hinder Jeff McNeil to a degree, because he won't have the right side of the infield, basically open, or the left side, excuse me. He'll still bat over 300 as long as he doesn't change his approach and just stays that nice on-base double single type of guy. The Mets will be fine, and he'll be fine. Now, finally, the Rays have made some great in-house moves as they first inked Jeffrey Springs to a 4-year, $31 million deal on Wednesday. Then on Friday, they inked Pete Fairbanks to a 3-year, $12 million deal. And now there's a new report that they just signed Yandy Diaz to a 3-year, $24 million deal. That deal was reported by Mark Feinsand, but is not being confirmed by the club. Now, I think these are all really good deals. This is right up their alley. It really is. They don't like to go after the big free agents. They'd rather sign guys who they've developed and brought up through their system and who understand their philosophy the best. And maybe this is a sign that, hey, we're committed. We want to build a core here. We want to keep these guys here. We're not going to trade them because we have money invested in them, and we're going to see what happens. And I think that will really get the fans maybe a little bit more engaged in the baseball organization in Tampa. It's a good move from a baseball standpoint and a winning standpoint, but also from a marketing standpoint. And God knows the Rays need to market well. And that's all I got. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts. And I'll catch you guys later.